So I wanted to talk about my journey to finding my own femininity and what triggered it and what led to that. So this journey started, as I mentioned, last January. So January 2019 is when I just became aware of, the energies and the differences between them. Prior to that, I was really frustrated because I just was so stuck in my wounded feminine. And as a defense mechanism, I ended up becoming a masculine woman, and I just really did not understand myself. I didn't understand my relationships. I didn't understand why everything was so difficult for me. I didn't understand why I was so insecure, jealous, petty, selfish, like just every possible wounded feminine trait, I had it. And if I take you back a little bit real quick, just to give some background information, I grew up with two brothers. I grew up with a little bit of a feminine father figure because of his past and his, history. And then, I had to deal with molestation, rape, mental abuse, sexual abuse, and all kinds of stuff like that. And it just, as a defense mechanism, I didn't really understand how to fall into my femininity because I couldn't. Anytime I was feminine, that's when, all of the other bad things would happen. And so I did not have healthy femininity because I did not have healthy masculinity in my life, right? So I felt at the time, growing up, all through my past, that masculinity had failed me. And so I was taught, or I learned, how to survive through it all by just really locking into that, I gotta be tough, that, really masculine woman energy, just tomboyish and, not, putting down other women who were feminine and, all of that. Well, it got to the point where my relationships were really starting to suffer. I couldn't really understand my children, couldn't really understand my partner, couldn't really understand, my siblings, my parents. Every relationship I had was strained. I did not have normal friendships because I just could not have patience with, feminine women. Like, it would drive me crazy. So then somehow, I don't even remember now, but somehow the whole, energy system popped up. I think I had found some mentors, or there was, some women that were living the life that I really wanted. And I just was like, wow, what is it about them that enables them to live the way they do? And why am I not living that way? Why am I not why can I not have the same traits that they have? These women were just so soft and delicate, not just in their outward appearances. Yes, definitely in their outward appearances, but also on the inside, also how they spoke in their tone, just everything about them radiated, this beautiful, elegant femininity. And then I began to desire deeply in my heart and in my mind and in my soul, I wanted so much to have, because I felt like I didn't. I wanted so much to have this masculine, just this pure, strong masculine man in my life. I wanted it so much. What had happened at the time was I ended up, because I was so stuck in my masculine woman energy, I ended up causing my relationship to be off balanced. My husband then defaulted into becoming more feminine because that's all that was left for him to become, because I was so like, I have to take control, and I became the dominant one, and we were always fighting and we were always upset and all of that other stuff. And so one day I had this epiphany. One day I just was looking at all these celebrities And I was like, gosh, I am, you know, in my desire, in my want, in my search for a masculine, pure masculine man that I felt like I didn't have at the time, I was looking at celebrities and I was like, gosh, you know, you look at The Rock and he's just like, he oozes masculinity, you know, he's testosterone and he's muscular and, you know, he's a hard worker, action taker, you know, all that stuff. My apologies. And I just was like, my goodness, he is this figure, this embodiment of masculinity. And because he is, women go crazy for him, are crazily attracted to him, and they almost desperately want someone like that in their lives, and they in a relationship with someone like that, a man like that. And then my thoughts turned to, you know, women celebrities, and I was like, gosh, what, you know, these women, men like drool over them, and men just, you know, want to look at them all the time, and men just, you know, want to chase them and you know, make them happy and please them. And I was asking myself, why? What is it about them? And then I realized, well, just like male celebrities, women celebrities too are just, you know, an exaggerated version of femininity. They, you know, a lot of them are just so feminine in their appearances and how they speak and how they act, and, you know, just all of it. And so then it hit me and I said, oh, it's because, unlike the rest of us, it's because they are so saturated and they are so, you know, they dwell in their energy so much. They dwell in this space of exaggerated, you know, masculine traits and exaggerated feminine traits. You know, these supermodels are long and lean and delicate and soft and, you know, so uber feminine. And I realized that's it. That's the key. That's what's missing from all of our lives. That's why everything is so haywire. And so the deeper I dug into this, the more that I was learning, the more I realized this is what I needed to do in my own life. And so it led me to, I just kept Googling like how to be more feminine and what are feminine women like, because I grew up with a tomboyish mom. You know, I didn't really have that, you know, uber femininity. And I grew up in a religion where I was scared of my own, you know, all the other things that didn't really help here, that only complicated everything more. But I grew up in a religion where I inadvertently learned to be afraid of my own sensuality. I inadvertently learned that, you know, to be ashamed, you know, to like sensuality and to like intimacy. And it just, I was really confused from all of that. And so I really had to do the inner work to kind of find my way back. And so, you know, it's of course a lot of meditation, and of course it's a lot of just sitting with yourself and tuning in. I learned that feminine women are so in tune with their own feelings, with their own bodies, with their own essence of womanhood. They are in touch with all of that. And they are not ashamed, and they are not afraid of it. They lean into it, and they, you know, just, they bask in the deliciousness of the feminine energy. So this led me to, you know, learning how to do my makeup better, learning how to do my hair, changing my diet, you know, exercising, taking care of my outward appearances. I always try to have my nails manicured. I always do my hair. I always try to have, you know, my makeup done, you know, for the day. And I don't lounge around in men's pajamas all day anymore. That was very toxic, wounded, feminine energy. And the more that I started to do this, and I used to speak very masculine. I used to have very masculine body language, like you name it, I had it. And I had to do the work to reverse all of that, to really just do the opposite. I had to do the opposite. And so I just kept telling myself, okay, this is what I was doing before. I need to do the polar opposite. And so every day that I tried, and every day that I worked at this, and every day that I was reading and watching YouTube videos and just immersing myself and following these gorgeous women on Instagram and just really watching them and studying them and picking apart their energy and picking apart their traits and their habits and picking apart their appearances, then I began to just replicate that in myself. And slowly but surely, I've arrived at this place where it just flows so effortlessly now that I can just walk into any place. I'll give you an example. The other day we went to dinner, and our waiter was, this man, this older man, and I could just feel the energy off of him. He was really upset, irritated, annoyed. I could tell that something happened earlier, right before we got there, that really bothered him, because he met us with that really strong, negative, frustrated energy. And everyone at the table could feel it. And we were just kind of like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What did we do? Is it us? And then I because I'm always tried to be made up, I started just like smiling at him when he came, and when I ordered, I said, okay, can I have this? Okay, thank you. And I just really was using my softest feminine voice to speak to him. And I, every time he passed by, I made sure to smile or laugh or just, be positive and really give him that respect from my point of femininity. Seeing him like he's this man and, he's had this hard day. I was not flirting. It's different. It's acknowledging his existence, acknowledging the man in him, and understanding and that having that compassion of, oh my gosh, he, must have had a really bad day. That sucks, right? So then I just was like, oh, ordering, and I was like, okay, thank you. And, just really being as soft as I could be with him, and just, just having like these feminine like movements. And then as he, as the evening wore on, he started to soften up, and he started to smile, and he started, to joke, and he started, just opening up to us and not being so like stoic and so, upset. He just was like, oh, really waiting on us, and really, it became an enjoyable experience because I was able to see and understand. I was able to see and understand what was going on with him. I used my femininity and I used my understanding of energies to kind of fix the situation, to kind of make it better. And so those are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. It's not necessarily, it's very much, yes, relationships. This is going to help yourself and any and every other relationship in your life. Parents, siblings, children, nieces and nephews, you name it, it's going to help. But it also goes further than that. This goes into being a better human being. This goes into being more compassionate and more helpful and more kind, and just softening the world with our femininity, and really understanding and appreciating the masculine in men. Because when we do that, it just has this beautiful balancing effect, and you will witness it in your life. We'll dig into this some more. I just wanted to share really quick my story about how I arrived here. And I'm really grateful and appreciative that you all have stopped by my page and are listening and are, asking questions. So we'll get into it some more. Bye.